that for like a few seconds, it can bring energy.
Oh, it does. It helps, guys.
Bring
feel the
like before
energy
interviews. And
All right, whenever you're set.
Okay. When I'm set? When I'm ready? Okay. Okay, hold on. Alright. Hold on.
oh my god.
Okay. Wait.
You got this, Jimmy.
You got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go. Okay, alcohol is the most widely used substance of abuse among American youths. And drinking by young people poses enormous health and safety risk. Young people who drink are more likely to be victims of violent crimes, to be involved in alcohol-related traffic incidents, and have depression and anxiety. So today, I'm going to explain the risks of abusive drinking of alcohol at a young age. So my main point is why do so many people drink? Underage drinking is a risk that attracts many developing adolescents and teens. Many want to try alcohol, but do not fully recognize its effects on their health and behavior. Teens usually try underage drinking due to peer pressure, or increased independence or desire for it due to stress. A lot of teens usually binge drink when they first consume alcohol and are usually peer pressured into it because of the idea of fitting the crowd. In many cases, adolescents who drink have access to alcohol through family members, or usually just find it around the house. And so the question is, what is binge drinking, and why do people often do it? Binge drinking is consuming many drinks on a single occasion or an event. This reason is because that young people consume more than 90% of their alcohol by binge drinking. So basically, whenever a person drinks under the age of 19 or 21, they don't really intake all the alcohol inside them. All the alcohol that they do, that one specific moment is 90%, so it's a lot. So they first start drinking all the alcohol, then as the time progresses, they just start drinking and taking a lot within that short amount of period. So although the youth do drink often than the adults, when they do drink, they often drink more. The National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, or the NHI, have shown that the number of binge drinkers increase more as the young people gets older. So to clarify that, as adolescents, younger people, teens per se, the older they get, like from 16, 17, 18, the more they drink, including both boys and girls, I guess, in a way. 6.9 million teens have 5 or more drinks on that same occasion, within a few hours, or at least in the past month. So basically, as I said again, 6.9 million teens, or the teenagers who drink, have 5 or more drinks within that same occasion. Within that hour, in the past month. And then 2.1 million teens have 5 more drinks on the same occasion on 5 more days over the past month. Okay, so then with so much drinking, there has to be a consequence, or at least a negative effect. Well, there is. The health and risk factors of underage drinking has a huge, devastating toll on teens every year that passes. The NHI also said that every year in the United States, about 5,000 teens die as a result of underage drinking. This includes 1,900 deaths from car accidents or drinking under the influence, 1,600 from homicides, so basically just kill themselves, 1,200 from alcohol poisoning, falls, burns, and drowning, so they either overdose on alcohol, they fall off a cliff, or they burn themselves, or they drown themselves. It's pretty sad. And then 300 from suicide, so that any other besides the forms of those I just mentioned, like coming up with a gun, or explosion, or crashing into a car or something. Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's pretty sad. The reason for these incidents were due to impaired judgments that teens seem to undergo when they have the effects of alcohol. Incidents that went during alcohols are listed as risky behavior, and they include drinking and driving under influence, sexual activities such as unprotected sex. So people usually do not consider the risks when they drink, when they do have sex, and aggressive and violent behavior. So people tend to be more aggressive toward their friends and family and don't really have a sense of judgment or impairment in the brain. So then the question is, what are the possible effects in the future of underage drinking besides a hangover? Well, research shows that people who start drinking are most likely to meet the criteria for likely to meet the criteria for alcohol depression at some point in their lives. So basically, when people would drink, they eventually, when teens start drinking at a young age and they increasingly start drinking, the more they drink, they eventually, or at one point, reach an alcohol depression where they would just drink every day just to keep the depression low because they're not keeping their lives. Researchers also show that young people's brains keep developing well into their 20s, so that alcohol, when they do drink alcohol, it can affect this development, potentially affecting both the brain or make the brain function and the brain structure. This causes cognitive or learning problems and make the brain more prone to alcohol dependence. So basically, the brain won't work unless it's drinking alcohol, and this needs alcohol in your body. This is especially a risk when people start underage drinking. So it's very common when people start underage drinking and this problem occurs. And to conclude, underage drinking has a significant matter not only to people who do it, but also the friends and family around them. It's an issue that causes many problems, death, and horror incidents all across the United States. Underage drinking is a problem, but with the right treatment, safe environment, and right role models, underage drinking will cease to be a problem as the case and situation. Underage drinking will cease to be a problem and the situation to finally be over. There you go. Thank you. And I have a video to show, so before I put your applause. Is it on? The projector.
Except for the picture mute. Were you not here the day we explained all of this?
There's a picture here?
Yeah. Okay, on the dashboard in front of you, that little metal structure that's right in front of you, there's a button that says pick mute.
Okay.
Don't touch the one that says display on and off.
Mm-hmm.
Do not touch that. But picture mute,
Mm-hmm.
push that.
Okay. Sorry, right?
Now I'm seeing and hearing about people as young as 10, 11, 10 years old that are starting to drink.
They seem to look at alcohol as a less serious type of activity.
Part of that is being an adolescent, not understanding consequences of actions. So if a little feels good, more is going to feel better.
Every time that I went out and hung out with my friends, I was drinking. And every time I was drinking, I was doing it in excess.
You could think that you were fine and then keep drinking, and before you know it, you're throwing up.
The dangers of binging on alcohol are multifaceted. We're talking about blackouts, memory loss, overdose, alcohol poisoning.
Drinking affects so many people's lives negatively, and you never really hear, oh, drinking affected my life positively.
That is my presentation. Is there a question and answer for it?
No, there aren't. There's no Q&A. We don't have time. Thank you. Patty, did you come in?
She's right here.
What did you think?
She's
Tell us.
fine. She's
Oh, she's not here. I thought you
Not
said
here.
right here. Okay. Not here. Okay, well, that doesn't help us much. There we go. All right, Jimmy, I thought you started off with a strong statement of, about your opinion on the subject. There's some vague references to some statistical data about how significant or important this is as a danger. It's pretty straightforward what your purpose statement is. That was easy to see in here, so I know generally what the topic is. There's no preview of the supporting structure of the material, so how it's going to develop is not indicated. Now, in the body of the speech, you do have some transition points, and I could see that there was a structure. It does feel more topical than anything else, but I think it would have been helpful to have some roadmap for us at the beginning of the presentation. On the first supporting point, you've got definitions of terms, that's fine. There's some statistical information that there was no sourcing being provided for. Later on, you do provide some citations for some of the statistical information that you present. I thought you had a good transition to the consequence point. That was pretty clear. And then you presented some more information that you did provide a source citation on. I appreciated that. Sometimes I think you just kind of start dumping statistics in here and don't really give us any reason to care about it and make it more interesting. An example or an experience would probably illustrate that more effectively, and then follow that up with a statistic as a way of making it interesting. I think that that's one of the things that often is missing from early speeches that people do, is they either go one direction or the other. They just tell a story and then they don't add any information that we can use to generalize from that, or they just give us statistics and they don't make it very interesting by sharing with us a story. And you kind of fall into that second category a little bit more there. Presentation issues, obviously the page script is a little bit large and it gets in your way a couple of times. Your nonverbals seem to suggest a lot of anxiety here and there. We're not focusing a lot on delivery issues right now, but I think when you watch back, you'll notice, and you probably are aware of some of the things that you're doing that indicate those kinds of things. There are a couple of spots where your voice drops out and you almost can't hear what you're saying. That's another one of those sorts of things that I was talking about. The video, which is the visual material that you're including here, basically it's an entirely separate presentation. You have finished your speech, you've told us you're done, and now I have a video that I want to show you. So the visual materials are not integrated in the speech, it's a separate entity in the presentation. It doesn't really add anything to what you've said. Maybe, you kind of arguing with yourself a little bit before whether or not you should use it at the beginning of the speech or at the end of the speech. Seems to me like it would make more sense at the beginning of the speech, since it's closer to giving us kind of a vision or examples that you can be talking about. Nobody talks about what those consequences are, and then it comes up and says, is it worth it? Well, that's what your whole speech is about, answering that question, that it's not worth it, that there are all these problems and difficulties that can come up. So if you're going to use the video that way, I do think it would make sense to use it at the beginning of the speech. I still think that you need to have other visual materials integrated into the presentation, so I'm a little bit underwhelmed. And it didn't seem like you knew what you were doing up there, and I'm not sure why you didn't know what you were doing. We had time, we talked about it in class, I showed people images. Maybe you missed class that day and weren't sure what was going on, but my having to help you during the speech is an incredibly awkward moment for me. I don't want to intrude on your presentation. This is your speech, and it feels a little bit like you're less prepared as a consequence. Even though I think you were pretty well prepared, it just feels like you didn't work it out, you hadn't practiced it through, you hadn't thought about how everything was being put together, because you're making that last minute decision about the video, for instance. All right, thank you.